I'm saying that if you look at how well he did against Secretary Clinton in the electoral college, it was a landslide. So you can go.
It wasn't a landslide, Perez. A landslide is only a landslide when it's a definition of a landslide. That's not a definition of a landslide. Okay, but my question was, now he knows how it feels to have people say, you know, or at least insinuate that you're not a legitimate president, because he did it for so many years. What does that have to do with the president saying, you know, the president is being gracious and classy and saying we must accept the outcome of the election?
Absolutely, and I'm making the point that the president is doing that, but elements of the left won't do that. Okay. Jill Stein, namely, now Hillary Clinton is jumping on board with this, apparently, and I wish they'd follow the lead of the president of the United States.
Go ahead, Paris.
That's not.
Yeah, and I think Kayleigh's absolutely right. When you look at Secretary Clinton, I think this is a moment for her to be the senior stateswoman, if you will, that she is, and not entertain this radical belief that Mr. Trump is not going to be or is not the president-elect, and these silly, frivolous recounts. And I think that she should not be doing this because it takes her down another rabbit hole that is just not tasteful, and it's frankly beneath her.
Let Picard get in.
But I think both Kayleigh and Paris are fundamentally incorrect and wrong. I mean, Hillary Clinton is not doing anything. The Hillary Clinton campaign is not doing anything other than sending lawyers to monitor a recount that's going to happen anyway. She didn't commence this recount. She didn't ask for this recount. She's not spending any money or resources on this recount. All she's doing is going to send lawyers to monitor a recount that's happening anyway. So to say that somehow this is Hillary Clinton's recount, or that she's not being a statesman, or that she's supposed to do more is just completely outrageous. But I absolutely enjoy the hypocrisy, and somewhat it's a good giggle for me when people say people are trying to delegitimize Donald Trump after year after year after year in which Donald Trump made his political stones.
Did you not just hear me ask that question?
There's a big difference.
You have to appreciate the irony. You have to appreciate the irony of it.
I see it, and I think people at home see it, and I think most of the voters see it. But I have to ask this. Paris, it's also false for Trump to say that the Electoral College vote was a landslide. It was certainly an upset, but it was far from a landslide. If you go back to 1980, his 306 electoral votes give him a smaller margin than both the Reagan elections, the George H.W. Bush, the Bill Clinton 2 elections, Barack Obama's 2 elections. He tops only George W. Bush's 2 narrow wins. So can he call this a landslide? Why is he calling this a landslide? It's not a landslide. He did very well. He did win. He got way more than most people thought. But you can't really call this a landslide.
Well, I think you can call it a landslide if you look at how better he did than Secretary Clinton.
So you're changing the definition of landslide?
Well, I think
you can say he did better because he won, but can you call something a landslide when it's not actually a landslide? Is that what you're doing?
I'm saying that if you look at how well he did against Secretary Clinton in the electoral college, it was a landslide. So you can go.
It wasn't a landslide, Perez. A landslide is only a landslide when it's a definition of a landslide. That's not a definition of a landslide.
Well,
that's you changing the definition of a landslide because it's Hillary Clinton.
It's you not liking my explanation of what I think is a landslide.
If you look at the definition of a landslide, this is not one. I just gave you evidence. Let me read this again. Okay. It is also false to say that the Electoral College vote was a landslide. If you go back to 1980, his 306 electoral votes give him a smaller margin than both Reagan, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton's 2 elections, Barack Obama's 2 elections. He only tops George W. Bush's 2 narrow wins. It's not a landslide. I'm just asking you the definition of a landslide. The truth about a landslide, it's not. Yes, he won. He won by a big margin, but it wasn't a landslide. Why is he saying that?
Because it was a landslide.
Okay.
I believe it was a landslide. The American people believe it was a landslide.
We'll be right back.
It was a landslide.